All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and everything in between. Welcome to another edition of Jet. Oh, no. Wait a minute. What did I do? That's right, too. So, a lot of you actually were talking to me about a couple things. And one of the things was like, damn, the name is great. Trying to type it, trying to do everything with it is really, really tough. So what did I do? I rebranded. If you notice everything between X, YouTube, etc., I basically went flat out, all out, and everything in between. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone within it, and also watching, welcome to Boston Concessions. We're a Boston-based podcast brought to you in part by SSBN, Small State Big Network. Why? Because the boys down in Rhode Island are absolute dolls. And yes, they are fantastic. So, welcome edition. This is a very, very special edition because I'm bringing together a little bit more of what I wanted to bring to you guys. First off was the sports talk. Now, I know between everything that we go through the Celtics, we go through the Bruins, we go through the Patriots, and we also go through the Red Sox. That's not going to change. However, I want to go to the concession stand. I want to get me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, and I just want to kick back. The better part of what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to bring to light a lot of things that just catch my eye. So, could we sit there and talk about how boring and crappy and decrepit that the Bruins have been 5 in a row, finally squeaked one out by Florida? Okay, yes, we can. Do I want to do something catchy with it? Sure. Do I want to look up foods and do I want to talk about them? Absolutely. Do I want to make like stupid little quirky, kind of things that I can say? Yeah. Do I want to talk about the Patriots and the changes that they've already done? Oh, you betcha. Do I want to talk about Oh, no, wait. Time out. Drop the super. Do I want to talk about Wild Card Weekend? Oh, yes. And what else? Oh, man. There's a lot. So, let's hit the concession, shall we? All right. So, season 2, episode 3. This is something new. And of course, yes, this is extremely something absolutely wild, absolutely new. It is something like I myself have been working towards a little bit. Doing the background, doing the name. It's basically been a lot of me. And I'm proud of that. But what does it mean to you guys? Well, it just means to the fact that like I get a little bit more how did somebody put the name? Saucy. And I like sauce. I like certain things that just bring a lot of attention. So whether you're being spicy, whether you're being like, relatively fantastic, it's good stuff to bring. Speaking of saucy, the Bruins haven't been saucy. They haven't even really been anything. To even state to the fact that like they've been worthy of making the playoffs is an understatement. Do we talk about like how the Bruins have been kind of in a little bit of a funk? Well, the little bit of a funk is kind of an understatement, so to speak. And why? Well, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, a lot of things are when you lose 5, 6 in a row, and then you go into Florida and you win. Great, cool. Did you almost make it? Yeah. Is it something that, like, it was overtime, everything included, and you basically woke up a Pasternak to score? Yeah. So why isn't there more heat about like this? Congratulations. I mean, you beat the world champions. Why aren't you hyped? Oh, that's right too. It might have something to do with Brad Marchand making comments to somebody who doesn't know how to keep their mouth shut. So there was this flotationable kind of thing that was roaming around about how Marchand and Pasternak were butting heads. Marchand and Pasternak were at each other's throats, not getting along, having little subtles of issues. So the person claimed a source. And what do I want to do? I want to read a little bit of it. So I was looking over Nesson, and of course, one of the beauty parts of it was Brad Marchand continues to jab radio hosts on social media. Now, Brad Marchand took to like his Instagram and he bolstered a couple pictures. It's him and David Pasternak with their wives. It's Marchand carrying Pasternak on his back. Both of them outside Fenway Park during the game when they were wearing the Boston uniforms, and then hugging while on the ice twice. Underneath was the biggest caption: "Wolves don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep." And who is this sheep, mind you? Well, it is none other than Boston's own Rich Keefe from WEEI. So, to me, this is where the issue stems. When you're a radio personality, and one of the things is you make a comment to the fact that like there's major issues in the Bruins dressing room. And then when you make very, very high accusations, and especially with someone of Keefe's persona, and everything that goes along with it, let me put it this way. There's an issue when you can't state who is behind your source, because there's two things here, and I get where Rich Keefe was coming from. I also understand where Marchand was coming from. The point where I'm understanding where Keefe is coming from is there are issues with the Bruins. Now, you took a jab not only at Marchand, stating to the fact that he was the problem, but you also took a jab at David Pasternak. You basically start off to the fact that like one is the team captain. The other one, well, the other one's an assistant captain. When you make a comment also that Pasternak doesn't want to be on a line with Marchand, I myself, not only as a commentator, like right here, but as a fan, and also someone who's hearing that, because you know it's going to flourish through like everybody. I want to know where you're hearing it from. There's a lot of misinformation all over social media, all over the web. And you could have been sitting there like, yeah, watch me create a story. Hey, Pasternak doesn't want to line with Marchand. What kind of story is that? Is it true? Show it. If you're sitting there and stating you have multiple sources, okay, especially for me, I'm going to sit there and state source close to the decision in the locker room told me. Break it down. Now, on Keefe's end, his comment was strong. The radio host alleged Marchand would not have refuted the report if it were false. So I'm going to state this because I've met Brad Marchand. I've met Brad. Met him once. Was never a fan of his, but to the fact that I know he's a really, really proud dude. If you're coming at him with some expletive bull crap like you are, he's going to say something. And especially when you're taking jabs at not only him, but one of his brothers in the locker room, to where you're creating a story, the tensions are high because both of them can't get along. And one of them doesn't want to be, then yeah, I've got to basically look at Marchand and hold it together, because he's going to come off and he's going to tell you where it is. I might have also gotten sidetracked because, I was looking at something that's showing for friggin' football. Oh, yeah. Look, when you make a comment like that, Brad Marchand is not going to sit back idly by while you make your comments, make your jabs, make anything else. And yeah, you can come off it to the fact that it's, if the story was really false, he wouldn't be acting the way he is. Well, I hate to break it to you, Marchand would. Because it started in your bubble. Okay? You've got Rich Keefe, Adam Jones, anybody who knows me. I know Adam Jones is a really good dude. Do I like his method on the radio? No. Do I like his personality on the radio? No. Is he a really good dude in person? So I've been told. I've never met the guy, but I think he's a jack weasel when he's actually on the radio. Don't care if it's said, don't care if it's known. Hell, and truth be told, there's plenty of tape that actually shows why I'd call him a jack weasel. Plenty of currency right now, too. So what does it mean to what I'm saying here? Very, very simple. When you have Rich Keefe and Adam Jones having that conversation, they're creating the bylines of everything that's coming up. So when they're saying it, what's happening? Someone else is pulling that thread. So, hey, look at what they said. Hey, do you know what that was said over here? Oh, it was this. Hey, this was going on. Did anybody else know about this? No? Oh, well, let's get involved with it. Let's say a little bit more with it. It's the point of, this is what you're pulling. This is where you're going with it. So you create the story. The story then creates a whirlwind that someone's going to get a hold of it. Now, when someone gets a hold of it, what do you think happens there? It starts going around. Hey, did you hear Jones and Keefe made a comment about Brad Marchand and how him and Pasternak weren't getting along and Pasternak doesn't want to play on the same line? Yeah. Is it ridiculous? Is it redonkulous? Is it stupid? Yes. It's like the same thing that like Marchand had huge issue behind the scenes with this person. And Marchand is this. It's like everybody's just taking a shot jab at Brad Marchand and blaming him. This is why I didn't want him to be captain. You know, it's funny because when you sit there and think about Brad Marchand, he's gonna carry himself in a certain way. Do I see that as something along the lines of like a captain? No. Has he been more assistant captain than captain? Yeah. Is that a big, huge issue? Yes. They need a captain. They need someone who is willing to be called in, go to battle, step up, go behind the plate, be that person that needs to be there and strengthen and solidify everything that they're holding. I do not see Brad Marchand filling this role. Never have. That may be the huge issue. That may be the problem. But do I think there's a locker room issue? Yeah, I think there's a little one. Do I think to the fact that they're not giving their all, they're not doing everything that they need to, they're not pounding away with how they should be carrying themselves as a team? Yes. I see that on a constant level. As I go to, and I'm thankful to the fact that they beat the Panthers. I really am. But do I care? No. Right now, in the Eastern Conference, if I look at, hey, are the Bruins in the playoffs? 1, 2, 3, 4. They are 7th. 7th. If the playoffs started right now. You know what that basically says? That means that looking at this, if you've got the top 8 teams on each side, the Bruins are in the basement. Now, I stated come the halfway point through December to where you get to the current place of where you are, there is somewhere where you have to solidify what you are looking at. And one of the things you're looking at is that this is a subpar team. And this subpar team is already starting to break the rules and regulations of where they need to be for the playoffs. Am I starting to worry? Yep. Why? Because it's almost mid-January. Almost mid-January. And if it gets down to the fact of like being beyond mid-January and you are still 7th or 8th and you can't move up and you can't beat teams that you need to beat and you can't step up and go into the playoffs for whatever reason and you can't get out of the friggin' first round, then I have a worry about that. I mean, right now I'm looking at the Atlantic. The Maple Leafs are looking strong. The Capitals are even looking strong. I don't even know where the Devils friggin' came from. The Panthers are doing all right. The Lightning are back up on the top. The Red Wings are not bottom dwellers anymore too much. The Canadians suck. Hey, where's that team that they're in the Western Conference, I believe. Yep. So the Blues, where Monty went, they're basically, let's see, they're there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's the top 4 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're not even in the goddamn playoffs. They're 10th out of the playoffs right now, if the playoffs were to start. You want to talk to me about like how, Monty is going to be like a really good coach and blah, blah, blah. They've lost one. Their last 10 are 5-4-1. But then again, you go to the Bruins, they're 3-6-1 for their last 10. So out of the past 10, Monty's got to win, but the Bruins are still playoff bound. The season started today. I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to tell you, but I will say there are some things that get me worried about this team. And some of the things that get me worried is this team is not clicking like other ones did. I don't think it was. I think Monty had a little bit to do with it. But I think that there's just something that isn't on the vibe. Maybe to the fact that, maybe Marchand is understood the fact that he can't do what he used to do. And he's older. Who's to push back and say he's not feeling those effects. And now the team's gonna feel it. But that's not something you want to say. That's not something you want to open into, and it's definitely not something that you want to at least admit. I don't want to. They need to be better than what you're looking at for a 21-19 team. I mean, you're above 500. It's great. 5 overtime losses. You have 47 points. You have more goals against than you have goals for. Look, if I'm playing the role of mediator here, for starters, you need to step up. Goalies need to have some grit. Defense needs to learn to control, but also in a manner they need to learn to score. There's a couple games over the past 10 games that I'll state it in a nutshell. Okay? They scored 3. On the 9th, when they played the Lightning, they scored 1. Hell, they played the Oilers, they didn't even score. There's times where you're picking and choosing your battles and getting destroyed where you shouldn't get destroyed. Maybe I'm just expecting a hell of a lot better. But that's where I'm leaving the Bruins for now. But for me, I'll state it. It's a wild card weekend. NFL's gone a buzz. And, just looking at some of the stuff, It was exactly what I looked at. Adam Schefter just pointed it out. It was an hour ago. It was a divisional doink. Commanders, Buccaneers. 23-20. That's a game. That is a game. Came down to a kick. The kick was up and good, but it doinked. It literally doinked. And looking at both sides, I will say it. I was in a chat room earlier, and while I was sitting there, I was playing a video game. We were on Twitch, and someone came into the chat, and one of the things they were really excited about was, "Oh, Dammy Brown got his first touchdown! Oh, $300! Oh!" He was excited. I swear to God, he filled a cup. Congratulations, guy. But yeah, it was Dammy Brown to get a touchdown. I guess he bet $10 and he won 300. Congratulations. That's a great grab. For something like that, though, it's also like, oof. That was really hard to pull because Jaden Daniels had 2 touchdowns. He was actually the better of the quarterbacks. He was 24 for 35, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Mayfield was just as good, 15 for 18, 185 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving, 17 carries, 77 yards. So the Buccaneers were basically right on the ground. 92 of the 185 yards went to Mike Evans. One of the touchdowns did as well. Dammy Brown had 89 yards, 5 receptions. So damn good game. But at the end, Zane Gonzalez, 37-yard field goal. What a way to scare it. Just that boom. Right off the end. I just don't know what I would say. If I'm a Commanders fan, if I'm looking at that wild card round, 13-5 Washington Commanders should have went in and actually beat the Bucs. Not by 3. You should have beat the Bucs. You showed to the fact that you were a much better team, much better calculated, and you won it by 3. It's almost to where, if I look at the Packers versus the Eagles taking it 22-10. Jordan Love, 20 of 33, 212. This is where you actually look at the difference. 212 yards, didn't even have a touchdown. He had 3 picks. That's your franchise quarterback. 3 picks? What are you waving at? Did you all of a sudden become fan of the other team? Jalen Hurts, however, 13 of 21. Not a really good completion percentage. 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, 119 yards. Where was this in the friggin' week 18? Ugh. That in itself just shows why the Eagles are going on. So, if I'm to understand this, I know Texans beat the Chargers. Now, that was the NFL wildcard round. The Texans, 32-12. Jim Harbaugh, I I will say, like, bringing the Chargers back into the playoffs, huge feat, huge props. Having a down season last year to just making the wild card just shows that there's promise for the following year. So if I'm understanding this, I'm trying to see like who they would be playing. Okay. So it's going to be the Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Is that a good game? Yeah. If I'm the Chiefs, do I want to play the Texans defense if they're really on their game? No. Especially for how bad Kansas City has been on certain teams. Anybody who says Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl, if they do, they will be one of the worst teams out of the Mahomes era to go into a Super Bowl because no, you didn't deserve it. Because I'm looking at two teams that are going to play each other next week that deserve it far better. There's also a team on a bye week that deserves it much, much better. And if anything, there's also another team that's probably going to be fighting tooth and nail that could probably take the Chiefs out. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Ravens. I'm talking about the Bills. Ravens and Bills won their games. The Bills destroyed the Broncos 31-7. Okay. Bo Nix had a touchdown. So he had his 4 touchdowns. He had his day against Kansas City. Whoop-dee-doo. He played backups on backups. And the Broncos do have an argument. There's 18 weeks. You sit guys. You don't even play them a quarter. A quarter. Week 18, we're going to sit our guys down. Because you know something? We don't need to play them. Who cares? So Bo Nix went off. Threw 4 touchdowns. He felt like he was back in college. He was 13 to 22, 144 yards. He had 43 yards rushing. Josh Allen, 20 to 26, his usual self. 272 yards. 2 touchdowns. 1 to Curtis Samuel. James Cook, 120 yards rushing. The Bills scare me. They have 4 losses, but the Bills scare me. They are the ones who put the chink in the armor against the Chiefs. That scares me. If I'm a Chiefs fan, that scares me. I understand I've said it in multiple podcasts. When you come on and you get into it, okay, playoffs, your record, nothing. You're always going to have that moment. What's next? Well, you're going to have to see. Because besides even that, Ravens destroyed the Steelers. Russell Wilson, 20 for 29, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 16 to 21, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Derrick Henry. No, he's not a quarterback. He's a running back. 26 carries, 186 yards. He had more rushing yards than Lamar Jackson had throwing yards. 2 touchdowns. Ooh. What a way to get it. 28-14. They were up 21-0 at the half. I'm not sure if they have an issue getting things set, getting things incorporated. But then again, it's also Russell Wilson. You know, you have to think about like what you're doing. You have Justin Fields, who could have been your guy. Justin Fields had, the posture, the presence, the everything else. He had certain things going for him. And the one thing that you guys looked at was, no, we got Russell Wilson. So you threw him in. You left Justin Fields out in the wind. Kind of sad. I was going to say like sappy and sacky, but it came out like kind of the wrong way. But is it true? Did you come by and just bleh? Yeah. It was kind of shit. But if I'm looking at your playoff picture right now, waiting for the Rams and Vikings, and I guess the winner of that match plays either I think the Commanders and the Buccaneers were the lower team. So I think one of them actually plays. This is why I don't figure this stuff out. So the Commanders, now that they won, yep. So the Detroit Lions, did it really get bright? Holy crap. So the Detroit Lions will play the Washington Commanders Saturday night, 8 p.m. That's actually going to be a decent game. And then I guess the Eagles will play whoever won or whoever wins tonight between the Vikings and the Rams. Yeah. Everybody has the same colors. So it's for the following round is actually going to be really good. The Bills and the Ravens are basically going to throw down. It's going to be crazy. The Texans are probably going to give a good run for the money against the Chiefs. Oh God, the explosive offense of the Commanders versus that defense. But then the defense of the Commanders against like the offense of the Lions. Ooh. And then the Vikings and the Rams against the Eagles. And I'll say it, the Eagles only scored 22 points against the Packers. You know what I'd laugh at? I'm looking at these matchups as crazy. Would anybody contest to an Eagles Ravens Super Bowl. Derrick Henry thrown away running back from Tennessee, signs with the Ravens, has an explosive year, versus Saquon Barkley, the unwanted guy from New York, who goes right to Philadelphia and has the mind-blowing year where he almost becomes the rushing leader for a single season rushing record. Can't write a better story than that. I'd dig it. I'd watch that Super Bowl. I've even said, like, one of the Super Bowls I'd love to see, Bills Lions. I'd love to see Buffalo go up against Detroit, because one of those teams is going to win. And that itself, excuse me, Cinderella story. The Bills, Josh Allen finally getting his kicks, versus Detroit. Longest drought and everything in between, about to actually get something out of it. Is it explosive? Sure. I'd be into either one of those. Just like a fat kid is into cake. Oh, man, do I love cake. There's just, like, to me, there's a lot of, oh, hey, look, they show the divisional round. Son of a... Hey, Topher, if you look down at the friggin' thing, it's right there. Oh, now I can laugh at myself. And I'm looking at the screen because I've got the YouTube play-by-play in front of me. Just watching. All right, so the divisional round, Texans, Chiefs, Saturday, 4:30. Divisional round, Commanders, Lions, Saturday, 8 p.m. And then Ravens, Bills, Sunday, 6:30. Before that, the to-be-determined team, which will play tonight, will play the Eagles at 3 p.m. And then the conference champions, and then you got the Super Bowl and blah, blah, blah. Cool. This is wild card weekend. Here's a wild card, though. Here's where we're going monumentally crazy. We've been talking nothing but Gerard Mayo. Is he going to be on the team? Is he going to be anywhere that you want to be? Is he going to be a part of the, what your expectation is? Is there going to be something that you're going to be looking at? Well, sorry, we held the mayo. We actually threw the burger out that had the mayo on it. Nope, no more mayo here. Since I've been doing so much, one of the things I've seen is that everybody's been coming out with, oh, Gerard's doing, Gerard did this. He got he lost against Arizona. He went on a plane. He should have been watching film. He should have been doing so much. Instead, he went to the back of the plane and played cards with the boys. I don't care. I really don't. See, it's pieces like that people pick out of a friggin' thing and go, oh, you're playing cards. You should be looking over the playbook. You should be doing something. A man is not going to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay? If he does, there's something wrong. So when it's get your mind off of stuff, and the manner that you're going to get your mind off of things is I'm going to play cards with the guys. I'm going to have a moment with some teammates, but it doesn't include everybody. That's the biggest problem. So can I understand where you got mad? Sure. Should you also put them in like a little bit more focus on what needed to be done and adapted? Yes. But it just shows you to be the biggest scapegoat in the world because you didn't watch film on a flight back from Arizona. Whoever came up with this is the stupidest person on the planet. I'll say it because it's true. I lost a game with my team. I had focus and collections with my team. I had conversations with my team. I had everything else going with my team. What did I miss? Sometimes your head isn't in it to sit and look at film right off the bat getting on the plane. If I lost, I'm having a powwow with the team on the plane. I'm talking with the boys on the plane. I may take half the time to just talk to them about something that like gets their mind at ease. And then the other time I may look at them and be like, does anybody want to tell me what they thought about the game and where we could have did better? That's how I look at it. Did that happen? No. But did a lot of other things. I know we talked about, Tavai and his comments and, the fans calling for Mayo to be fired. Well, I don't have to look at the back of a plane to see the head coach playing cards. That's not what I care about. So what? He played cards. Big deal. Body language. I'll tell you guys a story. So there was a day that my manager and assistant manager were running the store of a business that I worked at. And they wanted to go and do something really quick, and they were going to be gone for about 10, 15 minutes. And the idea is like, what's the shot of anybody coming in? All I got to do is man the phone, make a pizza, do anything. Didn't have to change, didn't have to do anything. I was just there to monitor the store for 10, 15 minutes. So I, without thinking, grabbed a chair, put my feet up on the counter, and started looking at a managerial book that I was supposed to be studying. Was I doing something proper? Yeah. Was I also doing something idiotic? Yeah. So our regional manager walks in, or actually I should say one of the co-franchisees looks at me and goes, "What are you doing?" Studying my book. What are you doing sitting down? Why are your feet on the counter? Where is everybody? Had nothing to say. Really didn't. He came in, he caught me. It was like getting caught with your pants down. But the story was that I did something stupid. Now, when my manager came back, did he state to the fact like, oh no, we had an emergency, we both had to leave? No. He said what he did, left me to like watch the store for a couple minutes. And I disappointed my management. Who was at fault? Me. Who got blamed? My managers. What's the moral of this that brings it right back to Gerard Mayo? You put trust in somebody, as Robert Kraft put in Gerard, and Gerard basically made an ass of himself. He didn't put his feet up on the counter not once, but multiple times. I only did it once, and I learned from it. You take it as an experience and you go. Also, when I'm being taught by my superiors and doing everything that I'm doing, okay, where he would have learned under Belichick and everything that happened, yeah, you learn, you grow, you do. When you throw people under the bus, when you don't know how to talk to the media, when you're backtracking multiple times, your body language, your demeanor, your everything basically has a tone that says either A, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not taking responsibility for something that I shouldn't have to, even though I'm the head coach. Right there, that's a childish antic game. If I'm Robert Kraft, I'm stating it outright. If he did what he needed to do and adjusted with where he made mistakes, I could see year 2 happening and no questions asked. But it was, I throw the team under the bus, calling them weak. I throw my offensive coordinator under the bus because I feel like our quarterback could do something. But yet, this is a quarterback that you and your offensive coordinator knew was the best quarterback, and you kept on telling people we are putting the best players on the field. And why isn't that quarterback playing? Well, a lot of people started asking that question, and look at that. He started playing. He started getting there. He started doing his thing. Well, now I'm excited to say that we don't have to worry about Gerard Mayo. We have a new sheriff in town. And I'm going to explain why I'm happy about this. So, about 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning, it was confirmed. We did it on breaking news on our Instagram account that went right to a couple places. The New England Patriots have named for their 16th head coach Mike Vrabel. Now, a lot of people I know were pushing for Ben Johnson. I understand Ben Johnson, but I also get a little nervous about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson would have made me nervous because when he was with Dallas, he didn't really make a name. He didn't really pop. There's just something about what he's doing. Maybe it's how we worked with Dan Campbell. Maybe it's the guys that Dan Campbell put in there to work with him. There's a multitude of different things that could make Ben Johnson Ben Johnson? Did he have the mentality to coach the Patriots? But in a realistic world, when I'm looking at the Patriots, they don't need another first timer. They need someone who's going to go in there, put his culture in, make a stand for who he is, build the team as he needs to build with his coaching staff and everything at play, and work with the general manager to put the best product on the field. If that means a just drafted rookie, that rookie's going in there. But for Mike Vrabel to take heed of these New England Patriots, especially this year, you have a second-year Drake May. You're going to have another offensive coordinator. So, in my eyes, you're either going to make a Mac Jones 2.0 or you're going to have a huge, huge stud on your hands where probably and hoping by year 3, we see the resemblance of what would be, instead of Mac Jones, we're seeing an AFC rivalry with Mr. Allen from Buffalo. If I'm looking at Drake May for what he can do, he is going to get bigger. He is going to get beefier. He is going to be a build-up of what he should do. Is he going to be Tom Brady 2.0? Fuck no. Hey, look, I swore. He's not. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people think. He is not going to be another Tom Brady. But that's also like an issue that we have as fans. We go back and the first thing, oh man, he's going to be the coming of Tom Brady. Tom Brady can barely run. This dude like runs, tucks the ball, and goes. So does he remind me of Jared Allen? Yeah. Smaller version of J.A. Now, what happens when he puts on muscle? What happens when he gets built? What happens when he gets build up? Then what? Going to have a Jared Allen 2.0. The Bills and the Patriots fighting for AFC dominance. And you know who's left in the wind? The Jets and Miami. Because Tua can throw all he wants. But Mike Vrabel is going to look at two different things. He's going to look at the offense. And he is going to build the offense with the right capabilities of coaching that is going to help him get where he needs to be. He's going to grow a defense. He's going to get that minded step that needs to be there for another coming of a top 5 defense in New England. So when you play Patrick Mahomes, he's not throwing up 30 points against you. You'd be lucky to throw up 15. You're not going to be able to have a guy like Jared Goff come in and have that offense that Ben Johnson has and throw up 35 points a game. It's just going to shut you down. Same thing with Buffalo. That is going to grow. And the one thing you're going to see between offense, defense, and special teams, that culture is going to look so much different. But the culture that Mike Vrabel brings is going to be very nice, very clean, very clear, which is what you want out of a culture in general. I understand Ben Johnson would have been top tier. But Mike Vrabel, even though people will look at one half to the other, Mike Vrabel needed to bring that culture icon. Did he do that in Tennessee? Yeah. He did that in Tennessee even when Ryan Tannehill got traded to the team. And Ryan Tannehill had no idea what the expectation was going to be. But he had the best years of his career actually in Tennessee. Why? He got a coach that would work with the quarterback, work with the offense, made the plays, did everything he needed to, and understood where that breakdown was. But he worked with the players in general. He worked with everything that you needed to work with in general. Do I believe in Mike Vrabel? Yes. But is it going to be like an instant 1 year turnaround? No. But are you going to see comments like what Gerard Mayo said? Oh, well, we're going to build a culture here. Yeah, we're not going to deal with culture. Oh, well, our guys are soft. You're not going to get that from Mike. Mike Vrabel led a defense when he was here for 8 years. He then played on Kansas City and showed wisdom and everything like that was there. One of the things he inscribed within what he does is he builds confidence in people around him to be better. Not just on the defensive side, but on the offensive side as well. He may have a lasting opinion against, well, he could have a lasting opinion against one of the wide receivers. He could have a lasting opinion against Hunter Henry. Austin Hooper could actually come back for another year, which that would be a great secondary tight end. And Mike Vrabel could be like, hey, we think you'd be even better. And he outplays Hunter Henry. There's possibilities that are endless. And yes, I'm mentioning all the positives because that's the way everybody's looking at it. But a lot of things that you're going to see are not always negative. You're not going to see that negative side. You're going to see somebody who, when they lose, they're going to take accountability. They're going to point the accountability, focus on what they need to do, and focus on the next game. No name calling, no bus throwing, nothing going crazy. You're going to have the right stuff in the right frame of mind. That, to me, is what you need right there. Now, whether or not what I thought was happening with, the team being, oh, hey, we can't sign Mike Vrabel, that's another story for another time. But it's a good thought. It's a very good thought. Because when I said it to somebody, the one thing they said to me was, well, it's been a year. That's right. So tampering with a coach in the manner that, the Patriots might have, I can understand why they did not hire Mike Vrabel right after he got fired. He got fired because 2 years, but there was also a couple other things that basically led to his dismissal. And that same year, during a bye week, he went and he got inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Now, what's to say that the Patriots did not talk to him, did not go over everything and say hey, We could have him be the coach. But then, like people are saying, you had Gerard Mayo in waiting. You put it on the inscribe. He was to be the heir apparent to Belichick. And Belichick went. Gerard stepped in. You still had the coaching tree. You still looked over everybody. And you said, we got Gerard. I really think to the fact that Gerard had the right tools at the wrong time. I think if he coached with Belichick for 2 years, got under the aspect of what was to be done, what was everything that was supposed to carry, he probably would have still been with the team, and he also would have been able to draw a little bit more presence with what he was doing. And I didn't see that. So what do I have now that I have to look at? I have I have a Gerard Mayo issue. So you got to eliminate it, go back in. Great, what you going to do? I have a feeling Mike Vrabel is going to bring this team back to the playoffs. $130 million cap space. Amazing cornerback. Very good linebackers. An exceptional quarterback. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So, who knows? But I'm hoping to the fact that, Mikey gets it right. And we'll see. We'll see. We still have to look at his staff. We have to look at everybody he brings in. We also need to see how he works with Elliott Wolf, or even if Elliott Wolf will be here. Who knows? Like, he could be, hey, I have 25% say, and Elliott Wolf now has 75. What is the reason for that? I need to know what's going on my team and inside my locker room and everything else. But I also need to see where you're getting the players. But in my eyes, if I'm also Mike Vrabel, I need to look at Robert and Jonathan, and I also need to look at Elliott and say, spend money. You have 130 of it. Hell, if Robert kicks the bucket, praying not, but if Robert kicks the bucket, that money doesn't go with him. That money is not meant to go with him. That money is meant to go to players. Sign a T. Higgins. Hell, I've even said it. You got Stephon Diggs coming off an injury. I'd take Stephon Diggs. He's got amazing hands and he's quick as a bunny. Hell, if Tyreek Hill even gets freed up, I would take him. Two things. You'd have him play against Miami, plus you'd also have him play against Kansas City. Woo! What a game. There's positives that you can see, and that's exactly what I'm looking at. That's exactly what I need to see. I will tell you, I know we had a conversation with Joe Murray about certain things, but I'm gonna end the podcast in a better light. There's nothing I find more gracious than breakfast food. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. You get pizza, you get burgers, you get all the other stuff. It's great, cool, grand. but it's not the same. There's something about like pizza in the morning is an adjustment. Cold pizza is like the leftover thing that like it's right there. It's great. I also met somebody who hates cold pizza, especially morning time, and I blew my mind. You can't like, but cold pizza is like one of those certain occasions. It's perfect. But everything else is just not really a breakfast food. Like, would you have a burger in the morning? Maybe with an egg, but it's heated up. Would you have it cold? You know, it's the same thing with like, with raviolis, meatballs, sausages. Do you have those in the morning? Like, is there things that would, marinate in your mind that would become exactly what it is for a lunchtime, dinner time food to become breakfast? Because I'll tell you right now, like there's probably a lot of you out there that you'll have breakfast and then you'll go through lunch, and then like when you get to dinner time becomes waffles. Yeah, I'd have waffles at dinner. I'd have pancakes at dinner. I'd have eggs at dinner, bacon, French toast. I'd have French toast at dinner. Cold cereal for dinner I've had before. Just had Honey Nut Cheerios, I think 3 or 4 days ago for dinner. I was okay with that. Let me see what else. An omelet. Make a good omelet. That's there. Breakfast sandwich. Hey, why not? Just a fried egg between 2 pieces of bread. Why the heck not? There's a lot of people that also like, late at night, oh man, I crave breakfast food. You get those drunks and you get the people that drink so much and they're like, oh yeah. Fast food, breakfast food. 2 things that are right up there. If I had to choose between fried food and fast food and breakfast food, oh my God, give me like a lumberjack special from somewhere. 2 eggs, some toast, bacon, sausage, hash browns. Probably won't eat the hash browns. Am I the only one? You get the food and then like the hash browns are like the last thing you touch, and you leave 2/3 of them and you're like, I don't want to eat them. I've seen people devour them, but I've seen like a lot of people that you eat everything on your plate, but the hash browns are the last things you touch and they don't eat them. Just something I see. Maybe it's something that can be like a discussion now that we're what would you go to a concession for? Would you welcome breakfast food as a concession into like, Fenway Park? Or just in general? Would you go to a hockey game and order bacon and eggs? I really want to know this now. I'm gonna like, I wanted to end the stream, but like I really I'm curious about this. Breakfast food during sporting events. I mean, you already have the chicken nuggets, you already have the pizza, the sandwiches. Would you break it down to like, hey, what'd you go get? And I was like, oh, I got a bacon sandwich, bacon and eggs on an English muffin. Would you be open to that? I'd be down. Nothing says greatness like that. Like, you're having a beer, having a couple beers, seventh inning stretch. They stop selling the beers, and all of a sudden you go over to the thing. Oh man, before you close, can I get a sausage muffin with egg? Yes. Bring it back, nice and wrapped, good some cheese, and you just sit down, and when you're gonna bite into that, you're gonna be sober by the ninth. That's what they should close out the game with. But sausage, egg, and cheese sandwiches. Like, here you go. Get sober. Eat this. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for actually reintroducing our amazing podcast. As we've rebranded Boston Concessions. Again, we're a Boston-based sportscast. We are brought to you by SSBN, Small State Big Network. Boys out of Rhode Island do an amazing show. Small State Big Takes, or Small State Takes is where you can find them. At some point, I'm dragging one of their ridiculous asses on the show because I get love, I get motivation from them, and man, they're in hiding. Well, unlike the Bruins, I ain't hibernating for the year. We're on season 2. We're going, and if I get to like 100 episodes before them, or like, where they just like popped off like one of their episodes, oh boy, we're going to have a conversation. But I still love them to death. They're wonderful dudes. Shout out to everybody who makes this possible. Hopefully everybody likes the new decor. SSBN logo up in the corner. That will actually be like a staple as of now. So please let me know what you think. You can follow us on X, on Twitter. I will be adjusting the blue sky. That'll be on there as well. But we thank you for joining us. Good night, Boston. And everybody out there. We'll see you later on. Have a good night, everybody. Or a good morning. Or just have a good one. Take care, guys.